right there, it really kind of nicely bundles up a bunch of the evidence we have for where and what the fire did.
Yeah, particularly if it started burning down a little bit, if it's starting to burn into those plastics, the fumes that are coming off of that,
it's going to be a little stanky.
You've ever thrown plastic into like a campfire or whatever?
Sadly, yes.
Yeah, and it gets like really, really smoky and like you start coughing
really acrid.
bad.
You don't want to be inhaling that stuff.
So, if that's starting to burn like a little bit, it's going to really complicate things a lot. That's a good...
Some toxic fumes into the rest of the plane.
The other thing...
But one thing I wanted to mention too is if you look at his website that has his arguments on it, he has drawings of exactly where that wiring course was. That precisely corresponds to the place where all the heat gains took place.
It does. And nobody has officially reinvestigated it, but he makes a really good argument. His argument also does explain something else, which is on the voice data recorder, the crew talks about to the tower the fact that they're having problems. Their main wiring path is on fire.
That's going to knock things out.
That's going to screw up the electronics.
Absolutely.
So it totally makes sense.
Yeah, they were like circuit breakers were popping. Yeah, that sound got picked up on the cockpit voice recorder.
It did.
And I could just see that as wires melted together, and you got shorts. And
you're going to make arcs and shorts, and things are
circuit breakers
are going to do what they're supposed to.
Yeah,
they're going to start snapping, and you can't turn them back on. It's not like your house where you blow a fuse and you just go turn it back on. It doesn't work like that. The wire go on completely.
You make you wonder if they would have even been able to land the plane to survive the places
That's a really good question because there is, Joe, you may remember the exact words to this, but I can't, is that planes there used to be fly-by-wire where all the controls were done by wire, and then, like the broad cables, and then I can't remember what it is when it's done by electronics, but those big planes are not fly-by-wire. They are totally done by electrical signals, turning everything on and off.
Yeah, I'm not
So
sure.
I think that they may not have been, the best they probably could have done was actually belly down on the runway if they'd been able to come in.
Well, I mean,
belly down is better than like torpedoed into the water.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I'm saying to ask your question because they usually got the landing gear down. I don't think they could have.
If you work for an airline and you're on some long haul thing and you're listening to us through your earbuds while you're sitting along over the Pacific, give us a call. I said this in an email, but I'm thinking that there has to be some sort of manual hydraulic backup for lowering the landing gear and operating the controls. There has to be. It would be insane to do anything else.
As again, this always happens to us. We've all thought about this, but none of us took the time to look. It was a last-minute thought.
It didn't occur to me until just now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Otherwise, in my head, I kind of knew.
And this is too much Googling for me to do on the fly.
Yeah,
it's not like looking up, like, what's a galleon? Oh, it's a Harry Potter thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, I'll call Boeing tomorrow and find out.
All right, great.
You know what? I believe you will.
Yeah.
Let's move to our last theory.
All right.
Because believe it or not, we're way into this, and we still got one more theory left.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I thought you said this was going to be a short one.
Oh, no. You saw the script. I've been writing bigger and bigger scripts. I'm working on a book.
I know. You are.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, we might actually come out with a thinking sideways for us.
Yeah, no, because we'll get sued because it's full of copy paste.
No, why would you admit that? No!
Wikipedia is going to sue us.
No.
Let's move on, though, to our next one, which our next theory is based on chemical oxygen generators. And we've talked about this a little bit in the very beginning. We threw it around, though we didn't explain what was going on. So let me explain what we're talking about here. You've been on a plane. You've seen the steward or stewardess explain how the oxygen masks drop, and then you're supposed to put your own mask on before you assist the elderly or children. Well, I foolishly, for a long time, just presumed that there was some giant canister of air on the plane that piped into those little rubber tubes.
Yeah, not quite true, huh?
Absolutely not true, because it turns out a giant tank of air is stupidly heavy.
Well, yeah.
And you just can't be packing that around. That costs way too much fuel to to lift up and down all the time when a plane flies.
Weird.
So instead what they do is they generate oxygen in a chemical fashion. And there's a chemical way to store it, and there's a bunch of, evidently, I had to read the science 800 times, and I'm still not 100% positive how this works, but there's potassium chlorate and sodium chlorate are rich in oxygen, and when put under the right circumstances or pressure situations, they will give up oxygen, much like sponge wood that was full of water if you squeeze it. They just give off oxygen, which is pure, which is great when you want to pump it out to people because it is in a small pellet or cylinder form. So it's something that's very small and very light, and it just takes either a chemical reaction or a friction reaction to make this stuff activate. It doesn't actually burn so much. It's more of a decomposition, degradation of the material, but that's what puts out all the oxygen. But that process does generate a bunch of heat.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm just trusting you on this.
yeah, it's like, well, actually, even burning, that's basically, if you burn a piece of wood, that's oxidation.
Yeah, and that's, it's what it is. You're breaking this material down, and one of its main byproducts turns out to be O2.
And the other byproduct is lots of heat.
Lots of heat.
Yeah.
So the O2 will go into your little mask, and it's super lightweight, and it's easy to transport, and you get to breathe if your oxygen mask comes down.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay.
Or Joe.
No, just me.
Just Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, not Joe. You
I
can't put
won't
on your
bother.
mask.
Yeah, sorry.
Joe didn't put on his mask because
No.
we've heard him talking.
Yeah.
Me either, because I keep yabbering on. But
It's just me surviving now.
it's just Devin's the only one who's
So,
going to
in
survive.
fact, Devin's going solo.
But the point is, they're very light, but they do generate a bunch of heat. The problem with them is that they can, and they have in the past, ignited things that were near them. They generate that much heat in their degradation process. There's a what is it? It's Value Jet Flight 592. This was in 1996. It crashed 10 minutes after takeoff, and what they figured out was that there were chemical oxygen generators that were loaded on the plane.
They were loaded in cargo.
And improperly stowed, and they shouldn't have been there in the first place. And so they went off, and they generated a boatload of heat, which caused the plane to catch on fire and go down almost immediately.
Yeah, whereas on our 747, they were loaded places. It's not like they weren't hauling a cargo of these things.
But if this plane is meant to potentially have passengers in the area where the cargo is, that means there had to have been some kind of oxygen delivery system back there. It would have been, in the ceiling cavity somewhere, because that's where the chemical oxygen generator, I presume, would have been stored. I may be wrong on that, but all I can think, what this theory is going for, is that either the oxygen generator was ignited improperly through friction can ignite them. That is one of the methods that's used to ignite them. Friction could set it off, which creates all that heat. And oh, by the way, it spews oxygen out onto the fire it's created, which would make it burn super hot. Or the oxygen generator went off if it's not in that ceiling area. Again, I don't know where they are in the process, but the oxygen would have been in that overhead compartment because that's where it has to drop out of, which means that there would have been a massive amount of pure O2 next to what anything could have caught on fire that then would subsequently burn obscenely hot.
I've seen
See, that's the thing is that I know that when you look at your plane, there's the overhead, what is the overhead thing where you put the Yeah, where the guy with the giant wheelie bag.
Yeah, exactly.
His huge bag that should have never been in the
You can tell we've all traveled that area.
Yes, I have watched that cat be on, and then and try and
Yeah, it's
slam
the
the door.
overhead bins.
So those overhead bins wouldn't be there.
No, they're not.
But if the overhead bins were to be returned for heating, there has to be somewhere that the oxygen mask setup is plugged into. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, somewhere in there, that system has to be.
Yeah.
Which is where this whole thing is saying that, that it's spewing that pure O2, which is then keeping the fire. I don't put a whole lot of credence in this particular one. I think that it's a bit of a stretch. I think that it's very interesting, and it's really interesting because of the fact that we do know that chemical oxygen generators tends to go down in tanks. Is it a perfect fit? No. Does it fit? Better than the
Oh, yeah. That makes all the ladder. And I think the market over
things together so well.
Yeah.
It really does.
And he may be wrong, but he has done the best job of making a complete package.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely. Everything makes sense.
Which, is compelling.
The oxygen apparatus really showed everything like how to get started.
Yeah, we're back to this. That's a big question for a lot of us. I mean, everything is how did this fire start? And Young is the only one who's come up with a very plausible way
absolutely.
for the fire to start.
Yeah, and it totally makes sense.
Yep. I do want to, that's by the way, the end of all of our theories, but there is just one little bit I want to add at the end here. This is very simple, Devin. We're almost done. Stop Googling.
I can't.
You're Googling, right?
I am.
You're not tweeting.
Nope. No
Awesome.
tweeting.
The findings of this investigation did change a lot of things in the airline industry. Better fire suppression systems were introduced. They became a requirement and were introduced. And that, of course, added weight to planes, which made the combi completely and totally obsolete. It went the way of the dodo. You either have people on board or you don't. That's the way it happens now.
Which makes the most sense. I'm most comfortable with that.
Yeah. Although, what's really interesting, I just found out today is one of the major FedEx or not UP, maybe it was UPS. I can't remember which one, Brown, whichever one it is.
UPS is the brown one.
Okay. One of those, and I don't remember which one it is, but one of those major companies that, will fly packages back and forth across the country, same day air kind of stuff. There's actually a contract with the U.S. government. All of their planes are set up to have the ability on that main deck, like a regular airplane would that we would commercially fly, to have seats plugged into them so that they can turn into troop transports.
Yeah, but that's different.
Well, no, it's just, but this is a very interesting site.
But yeah, it is interesting that they're doing that.
But the combi went away.
But speaking of great adaptations of planes, by the way, did I ever tell you about Boeing actually came up with a concept for the 747 as a cruise missile launcher?
No.
I'm serious.
Really?
Really
does that
happened.
really surprise you that much? Really?
Yeah. No,
it shouldn't, but it does.
They did. They had a whole system set up. They had it all worked out. I mean, it wasn't like they weren't ready to build a prototype. It was basically kind of a concept thing where they had drawings and stuff. And basically, on the starboard side, at the aft part of the plane, there was going to be a door or a port that would open the side, and on the inside they would have cruise missiles stowed on basically a rack that was kind of like a carousel that would move around. So it was kind of it was basically back to that spot. Door would open. Obviously, this would probably usually be done at lower altitudes where they could fly depressurized.
Yeah.
And then cruise missiles would basically be ejected out the side of the plane back there, and then they would, light off and take off and
go
destroy things. And so this whole idea of that you could, I don't know how many cruise missiles you could pack into a 747, but I bet it's a hell of a lot.
I bet
Yeah,
you-
Yeah.
I personally don't think there's many pilots who would want to fly that plane based on the fact that it's that many cruise missiles in the plane.
Hey, what the hell? I think a lot of pilots would. But I personally, I think the U.S. government should have taken them up on it because basically it would have been a real cheap alternative to a lot of the stuff that we have.
Yeah.
And it really probably would have done the job just fine. But it's an honest-to-God true story, and if I can find the link, I will. I'll give it to.
You'll post it.
Put it
I
on
will
our
post
Facebook.
it. I'll put it on our Facebook so you guys can read about that little project.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about Facebook and we're at the end of the story, let's give everybody all of our linky links here. Our social media for Facebook, we have, of course, the Facebook page and the Facebook group. So like the page, join the group, bunch of activity there. We are, of course, on Twitter, so we are Thinking Sideways, so drop the G in the middle. We tweet semi-regularly.
I tweet a lot.
Yeah, Devin
I
tweets a lot.
tweet things I find on Imgur.
Is that what's going on with the Twitter account?
Maybe.
Okay.
No?
We have our website. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com, where, of course, you can stream or download this or any other episode. The links to some of our research will be on there, on the website for you to kind of review for yourself, start the process for you if you want to do
Also,
it.
we have a facts page there.
Oh, the FAQ?
Yeah, if you have a question about something, check there first.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're listening to our old episodes and wondering like what that weird whining noise is or why did we use music, things like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on the FAQ page. But now, a lot of people do stream the show. There are still a bunch of people who get us through traditional sources like iTunes. If you're using iTunes, do take the time to leave a comment and a rating. We prefer the better ratings, the higher ratings.
5 stars.
If you have a concern or you have a question or you want to suggest a topic or you just want to rave about us to us directly, you can do that by sending us an email. That email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. And we have a subreddit, so the subreddit is still going strong.
It is kind of.
Yeah,
Kind of, sort of.
and last
In
but
a
not
sort of
least,
zombie-like way.
last but not least, a couple of things that we've got on our website. We have a link to merch. So there's merchandise that you can get if you want that. There is, if you want to contribute to the show financially, you're more than welcome to, and we do appreciate that. We've got the PayPal button on our website, or we do use Patreon. So patreon.com/thinking sideways. Patreon is more of a continual basis. Go on Patreon. We've got a video that explains it. It's totally optional, guys. Again, we say this every week, but we appreciate it. We love it, but we are doing it because we like it. And if you want to do it, we appreciate that. That's great. I think that's all the housekeeping. Do you have anything else you guys want to add to this particular episode?
No, short circuit, that's all.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, electrical.
Anymore. That's
All
not
right.
true. I think it was conspiracy, but that's
That's cool.
things.
All right. Well, I'm going to take off.
God.
I think it was squirrels.
Squirrels in the fuselage.
Yeah, they nibbled on the wiring, and next thing you know, things all go to hell.
We'll talk to you next week,
All
guys.
right, bye.
So embarrassed right now.
Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by Nailing Potatoes. Instead, it's supported by the generous contributions of people like you, our listeners, on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/thinking sideways to learn more.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Thinking Sideways. I am Steve, as always joined by,
Joe.
And Devin.
and once again, we've got another mystery.
What?
Oh, yet another
do.
one. There's a couple more left.
This mystery was suggested to us by Brian on Facebook. Oh, God, it was like a year ago. And weirdly enough, as I was doing all of my research, suddenly there was a resurgence, and we must have got another 3, 4, 5 suggestions.
I think I said to someone recently, you know, sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where somebody suggested something that we're literally about to record. I'm not saying this is one of those situations, but I'm not saying this is one of those situations. Because sometimes we just have to say, okay, yes, we're doing it.
I'm sure you made their day anyway.
Oh, maybe. Probably not.
Maybe.
Probably. Maybe they don't care.
Maybe not.
Maybe they don't. Yeah.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
What are we covering next week? That right
That
there.
one,
That's
yeah.
what we're covering.
I'm on it, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, we need a short episode.
Okay.
They're all
well,
short.
Today, what we're going to be talking about is we are going to be talking about the death of writer Danny Casolaro and his investigation into what he called the octopus.
He's not the only one who calls it that.
No, the term of the octopus has been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he really liked the octopus, and I'm going to warn everybody to strap in. This is kind of a 80s history roller coaster. We're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff, so get your pen, get your paper, take notes, because there'll be a quiz at the end. You're going to be glad you did it.
No, you're not.
Where's your pen, Devin? Come on.
I know. I'm not taking notes. I have notes in front
Look
of me
at
already.
Joe. He's all ready.
Yeah, he always does that, though.
Got my notes. Got my flashlight. Got my saber.
So let's talk about Danny for a little bit here. He was a freelance writer at the time of his death, which was in 1991. He wrote for, during the 80s, he wrote for a number of tabloids and some other different magazines. And then he got on at Computer Age Publications, which reported on personal computing, which this is the 80s. Computers are awesome and cool, and there's even today, tech writing is a big thing.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
huge.
Yeah, he worked there for a long time until he became part owner in the publication, until he sold off his portion of the company in 1990. Decided, I guess, I don't know why he did that, but he'd had enough, wanted to move on, which we all do with jobs.
Yeah.
Could be.
I guess it's interesting that he wouldn't retain his ownership of it, though, despite not writing for it.
Yeah, it's
Seems
almost
like it'd be easy income.
He might have wanted some cash.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing is, actually, I think I remember reading that the value of the company was going up, and it looks like he saw it as a bit of a cash cow. Hey, I'm gonna take the money and run before this bubble bursts. And he sold probably 6 months to a year too soon.
Yeah.
If he'd waited longer, he would have made a whole bunch more.
Well, if he
money.
waited longer, he would have been dead, so...
That's
Maybe.
a good point, yeah.
Maybe not.
Well, that's true.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, so he does that, and then Casolaro goes ahead and is looking around for something else to do. Reportedly, he talks to another friend who is also a journalist in the same field, and says, hey, I want to get back into writing. I want to find a good story. And this friend suggests that he look into the Inslaw case, which at the time